the president of these United States had this to say about Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and members of her community, the Somali-Americans who live in Minnesota.
Barely a country, they have no anything. They just run around killing each other. There's no structure. And when I see somebody like Ilhan Omar, who I don't know at all, but I always watch her for years. I've watched her complain about our Constitution, how she's being treated badly. Our Constitution, the United States of America, is a bad place. It hates everybody, hates Jewish people, hates everybody. But when I watch what is happening in Minnesota, Somalians ripped off that state for billions of dollars, billions, every year, billions of dollars, and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country is no good for a reason. Their country stinks. When they come from hell and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
God, I hadn't seen that whole thing.
Yeah, I thought it was important to show as she still lets her light shine, despite what Donald Trump is saying. Congresswoman, I don't know you to be anything but a loving fighter. And it is so immensely frustrating to watch that take place in a cabinet meeting this week. What's your response to Donald Trump and the cabinet members who sat there as he went on this very dangerous, hateful, xenophobic tirade?
Racist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a bigoted fool. It's just the level of bigotry, xenophobia, Islamophobia. It's hard to understand how somebody can hold that much hate in their heart, and still be able to call other people hateful. It's also, I think, really creepy to have this level of obsession with somebody that you haven't met.
That's real. I wonder, Congresswoman, how do your constituents, your neighbors, and friends in Minnesota, I mean, I know Minnesota to be quite an incredible state, led by some pretty incredible people, yourself included, generous folks, good in spirit, good in heart, very honest. I mean, I don't want to over dramatize this, but really I've had a lot of experiences and met a lot of people from your home state. I've fundraised there before. It's a good place. I wonder, how do your constituents respond? Everyday laypersons who don't have your experience with Donald Trump, right? He's the president of the United States. How do they reflect on that?
They've responded the only way Minnesotans know how to respond. They've responded with kindness, with love, with compassion. Prince is from Minnesota and once said, it's Minnesota nice, but it's cold and it keeps the bad people away. And so, we don't like hate in Minnesota.
Yeah.
One of the questions that I had is that people always see you with a national profile, but oftentimes you have really, really good members of Congress like yourself, and they don't know the successes and the tangible things that you've brought back to your district, brought back to Minnesota. When we're going out there fighting for you, tell us, what are some of the things that you've done in your legislative career for Minnesotans, and disregarding that national fervor, that push against you, how you've still been successful in bringing it home, to steal a word from Andrew Gillum, for Minnesota?
I appreciate that question. During COVID, I passed my Meals Act that helped feed 22 million children across the country and in Minnesota. I've also been able to bring back $46 million to invest in multifamily units, to create an entrepreneurial community kitchen for the Black community in my neighborhood, in my district, that have that entrepreneurial spirit. We've invested in essentially ending homelessness for veterans in Minnesota. So there's a lot of really good work that we have been able to do since I've been in Congress in 2019.
You and Tiff, I know I want you to go, but I got to bring this up since you just brought up COVID-19. We of course are aware of the fraud that Donald Trump talked about at the cabinet secretary meeting. 80,000 at least Somalis in Minnesota, and there have been 75 people indicted in association with the COVID-19 fraud scheme. The leader of that is someone that they have somehow decided to shield. Amy Bach, who is the Feeding Our Future executive director and founder, is a white woman, but somehow this became a Somali-led fraud. So I would love for you to debunk some of what has been widespread over the last several weeks, as if this hasn't been prosecuted since the Biden administration. But if you could talk a little bit about the truth around that case and why they're targeting Somalis is such a dangerous thing to be doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, as you alluded to, the ringleader of the fraud scheme and the person who helped make that fraud a reality, unfortunately, in our state, is not Somali. It's a Caucasian woman. We've also had others that have been indicted as well that are not of Somali ethnicity. The reality is there's 80,000 of us. Majority of us are citizens, over 90%. Many of us have been in the United States over 30 years. Many of us have not been resettled in Minnesota. We all started out in different states, about 90% of us, and chose to live in Minnesota and move there. Because it is such an incredible state that is so welcoming and has made us be able to thrive and be a vibrant part of the state and of the community. And Minnesotans in general are very resilient, very strong people. We don't survive and thrive in that cold weather without having some strength and resilience. And I know that as the raids are happening right now with ICE, they are being met with that resilience. They are being met with people who are showing them that they are citizens, and they're having a really hard time and making fools of themselves trying to find a non-citizen or somebody who is undocumented in our community, because that is like a needle in the haystack. We don't really have a lot of people who are undocumented. Majority of us came to the United States with a refugee status, which means you come in with documentation. And it means that we get our green card within a year, and within 5 years, we are citizens, and we have the highest number of immigrants of any kind in the United States when it comes to achieving that citizenship.
Congressman, I think it's really important for our viewers and listeners to understand why Somalians are receiving TPS, the temporary protected status. This was actually granted under the Bush administration, H.W. Bush, in 1991, after the fall of Saeed Barre, which led to a clash of warlords. And so people have been fleeing the Horn of Africa for decades now. Because this community keeps getting granted TPS, and now that the entire structure of our democratic norms, including TPS, has been thrown into disarray, I want to know, what is the practical solution when our government is disappearing people? So when ICE shows up to your constituents' door simply because they are Somalian, what are they supposed to do? Particularly at a time where they are disappearing people to foreign countries. We have no idea. We're not keeping track of these people. People are literally disappearing from data from watchdog organizations. What is the practical thing that they should do when the government knocks on their door with the intention to disappear them?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Like I said earlier, many of the Somalis who are in the United States are citizens, and they are green card holders, so permanent residents. We have about 400 folks around the country out of the 130,000 or so Somalis that are in the United States. and those folks with TPS status. What we have been telling folks before even the administration was sworn in was to get their documentations in order. Because we knew that with Project 2025, it wasn't just going to be, this administration going after people who were undocumented or who had, some sort of shaky status, but they were ultimately coming for every single person that could look like an immigrant, especially if you were brown or black. And so our community has been preparing for this fact, and that is why. I said earlier, with the ICE rates, they are seeing, folks have their passport IDs, which folks can get if they don't want to carry their passports. Folks are, they're taking photos of their passports so that they have it on their phones. People know, where the immigration lawyers are, where the resources are within the Twin Cities and the state. A lot of people have connections to the ICE offices and enforcement. And so this is a community that is equipped with information and feels empowered to be able to defend themselves. And so that would be, I guess, my recommendation to everyone else is, one, know your rights. You do not have to respond to ICE agents unless they have a warrant that is signed by a judge. You don't have to show identification of any kind if it's not warranted by any law enforcement. And if you do have an undocumented status, please make sure that you carry any sort of documentation that could be helpful and in making sure that you do not get abducted and detained, because ICE detentions are very inhumane. And these ICE agents are also, a lot of them are untrained in many aspects, and it could be a very dangerous encounter.
Congresswoman, I know you have to run. I just want to ask a quick follow-up. So I appreciate you drawing the difference between, green card holders and those with TPS status. However, I think we're at a moment in history where so many people are awaiting this invisible red line to be crossed. And we see that happen again and again. We've seen U.S.-born citizens abducted and detained. And so as a member of Congress, you are a part of these democratic norms. You are a part of a structure. And I'm wondering if what you're saying still matters today. And more importantly, will it still matter 5 years from now? We've already eroded some of these norms. We've already, to a certain extent, normalized people being disappeared. So the advice you're giving is relevant to, some may say it's relevant to a government of yesterday. We've seen ICE have violent confrontations with people. When people are bearing witness with their phones, we've seen them be attacked by ICE. And then it would beg the question, who are these people who are allegedly of ICE? They're masked, often not showing their ID. How do we know these aren't Proud Boys in uniform? It seems like all the rules have been thrown out. So I guess I'm kind of sounding the alarm to you and wondering what do we do from here from a legal perspective, a congressional perspective, but also a perspective just from our personhood when we're physically confronted with these things.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is the question that we're all asking ourselves, right? Are the norms that we are used to, the laws that we know exist, do they apply? And will they continue to apply? I think as lawmakers, it is our job to continue to do some oversight. It is our job to, visit these ICE detention centers, to do the field hearings, to put the information out for people. But it is, as you said, these are very dangerous times. And we have to also document and learn from this moment, because as Democrats, when we do have the power back with our gavels, we are going to have to do some accountability, and we are going to have to do some investigations and subpoenas and figure out, how do we hold people accountable who have broken the law as they carried out this sort of mass deportation. And I would say I don't only tell people who are, who became a citizen or a legal resident to carry their paperwork. My son was born here and he has a passport ID. So that fear is in every single person.
Wow.
That could be attacked and be attacked by ICE agents as they just go about their day to day. So it just is that kind of time that we're living through. That it is necessary for us to be able to empower ourselves with every tool that we have. And lastly, on this, I will say, community matters. We have seen that they have not been successful in Portland, Oregon, in Chicago, Illinois, in LA, California. And we're certainly seeing that they're not being successful in Minneapolis or St. Paul, Minnesota, because community is showing up. People are defending one another. People are providing information and protection to one another. And people are alerting each other when they see something coming. And so I would also say we have to think of ourselves as being part of community and protecting our neighbors and our beloved ones, because what this administration is relying on is that we all become so fearful and that we are intimidated into silence, into not defending the rights that we have under the Constitution in this country. And it is important for us to know those rights and to show up for one another in protection of those rights, because these are rights that were hardly earned and fought for by those that came before us.
I will just say on that community, you come from the Twin Cities, and I just want you to hear from our dear brother and friend, the mayor of St. Paul, Melvin Carter, who had this to say about Trump's comments.
And so when we talk about attacks, racist, Islamophobic, xenophobic attacks on our Somali community, and you combine that with what Mayor Frye just said, the vast majority of our Somali community are citizens. So who he just attacked isn't just Somalis. Who he attacked is Somali-Americans. Who he attacked is Americans. And so if the President of the United States is telling you out loud that he hates Americans, then I can't imagine a greater confession of incompetence to do the job that you've been hired to do than to say you don't believe that Americans belong in America. That's what Donald Trump said to us today, and it's very important for us to understand that that was not just an attack on our Somali community, it was an attack on our Somali community, and everything Mayor Frye and Councilman Osmond said is important. But it's easy to sit at home and say, oh, he's attacking them. He's attacking Americans, American citizens, American residents, American neighbors. They're destabilizing communities and trying to get us to be afraid of somebody because of what they look like. And as Mayor Frye said, it's probable that there will be constitutional abuses. It's not probable, it's what they're saying. They are saying they target people based on how they look. Now, all of us grew up in classes that taught us that that's wrong, and it's still wrong today. So what you heard the president say today was that he is incompetent and incapable of being a president for the people of the United States, because he just said out loud that he despises Americans. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Melvin always brings the fire. Beautiful.
As Andrew sits here with his Rattler's cup. We're so grateful for your time today, Congresswoman.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Congresswoman.
you.
And for your fight and for your courage.
Yes.
We
And
see
our
you.
prayers to you for your safety and your peace
Her
and your
children.
blessings. Yes, and your children.
Much love, sis.
Thank you all.
I love it.
Native Land Pod is a production of iHeartRadio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.